In this interactive lab, we are going to configure Microsoft Sentinel, um, an environment for Microsoft Sentinel. We are going to accomplish 4 tasks. One, initialize the Microsoft Sentinel workspace. Two, create a watch list. Three, create a threat indicator. And four, configure log retention. Now, before we start with this interactive lab simulation, let's take a look to our picture that we have been using through uh, all these videos, right? In the zero trust supported with Microsoft solutions journey. So we have talked about this 6 pillars of zero trust as defined by NIST and supported by Microsoft. So we talked about identities, endpoints, applications, data, infrastructure, and network. Now, in the center, we have this continual risk assessment and automation, and we have threat intelligence and telemetry. Well, this is what Sentinel does. So Sentinel is at the center of all of these solutions supported by Microsoft, and that's what we are going to discuss here. Microsoft Sentinel is cloud native security information and event management, or SIEM, and security orchestration, automation, and response, or SOAR solution. It collects, correlates, and analyzes security data across an organization's entire environment, which is what we just talked about, right? Identities, endpoints, applications, networks, and cloud workloads. And it helps detect, investigate, and respond to threat at a scale, right? And that's what we are going to discuss in this lab. The first lab, or the first task actually, is to initialize the Microsoft Sentinel workspace. Before we can do anything with Sentinel, you need to have a workspace where you can um, collect all those logs from different. We can collect logs from VMs, from network devices. We can collect logs from uh, VMs in the on-premises environment, as well as VMs on other cloud environments. And we can collect logs from also physical services on-prem. So anyway, there is a lot of stuff. So if we click on Microsoft Sentinel to start the there is already a workspace here that has been created. So basically what we're going to do, we're going to add this. So you can create this workspace and then you can add this. One thing that I appreciate that is great for Microsoft is that Microsoft would let you try all of these services. I mean, uh, imagine going into a restaurant and uh, they letting you try out, food from different dishes, right? It would be wonderful, only that you would not buy anything at the end because you would be full. But so Microsoft allows you to do this. So, and if you don't like it, then at the end of the trial, you can just basically disable, delete the workspace and not use it. Now, it is important to notice that during the trial, up to 10 gigabyte per day are free for both Microsoft Sentinel and Log Analytics. We'll talk about that later on. Now, data beyond the 10 gigabyte per day um, included, uh, you know, quantity will be billed. So it's important to keep that in mind when you are trying this out, right? So again, Microsoft Sentinel, a cloud native SIEM to help you focus on what really matters. In other words, you can choose what is exactly that you want to collect and analyze from sources anywhere, as I was just talking about. Um, you could install your first content hub, or basically you can discover and install Microsoft content, which includes data connectors, workbooks, analytics, and we're going to be covering some of these things as we move along. But anyway, if we click on the overview link over here, uh, there's not going to be much stuff here, of course, because we just created the workspace. We just added this workspace. So there's nothing there. But this is where you would see, data received from whatever connectors or sources you have. You could manage your connectors, basically mean that you can connect to AWS or Google or your Cisco or Fortinet routers, for example, that you have in your environment. So a lot of data connectors, the data type, there's some analytics over here. So it's a lot of information that you can go through. All right. So again, the first thing is to create that workspace if you don't have one. And the second then is to add that workspace into the environment. In Microsoft Sentinel, a watch list is a curated collection of external data, such as IP addresses, device names, or user accounts that are imported for correlation in security analytics. It enables SOC teams to enrich alerts, create custom detection rules, and simplify investigations. A common use case is maintaining a list of high value assets or terminated employees, for example. So, when related activity appears in logs, Sentinel can trigger alerts or automated responses, ensuring faster, context aware threat detection and response. And again, so this is another piece that is critical for in zero trust. So to create this watch list, we are going to just in you could do this number way, but if you go to, let's say, Notepad, and you create, here we are going to be creating a watch list with hosts that we want to monitor and investigate. So these files are saved as CVS files, and so we're gonna click the just a normal um, text file. You could have this in Excel, whatever. You can have uh, a notebook, a spreadsheet with a whole bunch of watch lists that you want to use. And then if you scroll down to the configuration section, you will see the watch lists. Okay, so when you click on this, and you want to add this watch list that you are going to monitor. In this case, we're going to call it high value hosts, and the alias we're going to give the same name. Now we are going to import this list that we previously saved and that we created. The search key, as the information said over there, it's used to optimize query performance when using watch lists for joins with all the data. For example, enabling a column with IP addresses to be designated search key field if you wanted to, and then use this field to join in order event tables by IP addresses. So a lot of the stuff in Sentinel is a store in table. It's a database there, right? So you can review whatever you think, and then there you go. So now we have this watch list that we can use for a number of things, right? So if we want to see uh, events about this watch list. So here is the window, the KQL window. So a lot of the investigation and threat hunting, advanced uh, threat hunting that we do in Microsoft Sentinel is with KQL. And so this is, a simple statement. We're saying get watch list and the watch list name, the name that we gave to the watch list. And just by that, it will reference those 5 hosts that we created in that watch list. And we could use this with a number of things. So this is a very powerful tool that we could use in Microsoft Sentinel. Okay, really good stuff. All right, so now that we have created our watch list, in this next task, we are going to create a threat indicator. Before we move on with the lab, it is important to define exactly what is a threat indicator. A threat indicator is a data point or artifact that signals potentially malicious activity within an environment. These include elements such as IP addresses, domains, URLs, file hashes, or email senders known or suspected to be associated with threats. Security tools like Microsoft Sentinel and Microsoft Defender use threat indicators to detect, block, or alert on suspicious behavior. This is a core component of zero trust. Now, by correlating threat indicators with telemetry data, organizations can identify attacks earlier, strengthen defenses, and respond more effectively. And this is what we are going to do next. So, if we come to the left over here under threat management, where we have incidents, workbooks, hunting notebooks, entity behavior that we talked about it, threat intelligence, the MITRE, AT&T CK section, we are going to click on threat intelligence, and we are going to add one of these components that we want to. In this case, we are going to create an indicator for domain names. So you can use, again, domain names, file hashes, IPv4 addresses, IPv6, and URLs. And there's some other custom stuff that you could create using tools like PowerShell, but we're not going to go over those. These are the most common ones. All right. So we are going to track this domain name and the threat types that we want to do. This is a malicious activity. So we want to basically monitor and track and investigate any malicious activity from that domain. That's basically what we're going to do. And so we're going to call, we can give the same name, we can create a description, you can do a number of other things, the confidence, there's a lot of stuff that goes into this configuration. Also, you could indicate a time frame in which this is going to be valid. And then we're going to click on apply. And once we have that, if we go into the logs section over here, so we are back into the KQL query windows. So again, if we do the get watch list query and indicate our, in this case, what we want to do actually, that was the old query. So what we're going to do here is the threat intelligence indicator. And if we click on run, we are going to get stuff related to that. Now, if we scroll to the end, Remember that what we are investigating is the domain name. Now, there's a lot of stuff when you do this general query. So we could basically modify this and we could say threat intelligence indicator project domain name, basically meaning the project in this case basically means display. Yes, so KQL can be a little bit of intimidating. So if you have not used this type of queries, this is one of the things that makes advanced hunting a little bit more advanced or difficult. But in the area, the age of AI, is using either Copilot or ChatGPT, you can basically using natural language create any of this. So artificial intelligence, the tools like ChatGPT and Copilot have basically made us more productive, more powerful because now we can create all of these queries, easier than before these tools came on board. Anyway, so if we click on run again, so now we took all that other stuff over there because we just want to see the domain name. We want to see exactly what matters. And then there you go. So and then we can drill down and see what's going on and that kind of stuff. But that's not the objective of that. So there you have it. Now on this task 4, we are going to configure log retention. Now, this is really important, right? Because log retention, well, as the name says, how long do we want to return this, to keep this log, right? And, uh, well, we don't know. It depends on many things. It depends on compliance. Some laws or the government, whatever, uh, some framework requires. Give you an example. So if you deal with taxes, um, the laws in most state in the United States requires that if you fill out taxes, if you deal with taxes for people, that you have to keep those records for at least 7 years. Okay, well, so that's a law. So if you want to keep these logs for 7 years, then you need to configure that, right? Because some of these logs are not kept for so long. So it depends on what you need to do. And there are many ways. Companies have their own policies, but a lot of this stuff comes from regulations and requirements. So if we scroll down and under the configuration sessions where we have data connectors, analytics, watch list, we were here already. We're going to click on settings, and you can see here the Microsoft Sentinel pricing. Again, we're not going to go over all these things because the the main point of this tutorial is stuff that pertain to security and zero trust. So this is not a Sentinel tutorial per se, but the things that are related to zero trust and cybersecurity. So if we click on the workspace settings, and again, there's a lot of information over here that you can read. So if you really want to learn about Sentinel, you could stop the video and just read and try to understand what this thing is about. So if you click on under settings, if you click on tables, and what we're going to do, we're going to filter by security event, the security event table, because this is what we are interested in. We want to keep this. And notice that the interactive retention, by default, the workspace default is 30 days, which is not much. So what we're going to do here, we are going to manage this table, right? And we are going to choose in this case 180 days. So let's say that we have been requested to increase the logs for 180 days instead of the default 30 days. And again, so you could go to 170 days, to 1 year, 1.5 year, 5 years again, and custom. You could do it up to like 10 years. Now, keep in mind, the longer that you retain, that you keep these logs, the more money you're going to have to pay. So, and this is one of the things about any data collection tool like Microsoft Sentinel, that it could become very expensive depending on the amount of storage that you use, but mainly depending on how long you keep those logs. So anyway, so we're gonna do the 180 and then we are going to save that. Okay, so now all these logs will be kept for 180 days. Okay, and that was it. Okay, so um, back into our zero trust picture again. So we configure Microsoft Sentinel. We added a workspace. Um, this have to do with, again, the continuous risk assessment and automation. So you could automate. We're going to see other videos about Microsoft Sentinel and the kind of things that it can do. We're going to be looking into threat intelligence and telemetry and that kind of stuff. So thank you. And as always, if you enjoyed this content, if you think that this is useful, right, please subscribe to my channel, like my channel, um, uh, leave me a comment to improve this section. I promise you that I will always try to do these videos better and better. But please subscribe. Thank you, and I hope to see you in the next video.